happening until I either pull my front or push my rear brake. And it's going to fire right up. At this point, it is a gas and go automatic. Thank you, sir. So as soon as I push the gas, it's going to take off right off the bat. Over here, we've got our switches. We've got our headlights. So it's all the way to the right is off. The middle is on. That's your standard position. If you look out back, I've got a tail light that's on right now. And then I've got a brake light if I step on this. But if I turn to bright, now I have no tail light, but I still have a brake light. So if you turn your lights to bright and you don't see the tail light, there's your tail light. That's on bright, so you don't have a tail light. There's your brake light. Even with the tail light, you still get the brake light. But like I say, when you go to bright, the far position, you lose your tail light. That's all your switches up here, all your controls. If they do shut it off from the kill switch, they do need to turn the key off so it doesn't run the battery dead. So if they've turned it off here, like I say, just make sure to shut the key off. And then last, you've got your remote kill switch. If they're not listening, paying attention, doing what they're told, you can hit this button. It's going to shut them down when you hit this lock button. At that point, they can't restart this until you hit the unlock button. Once you hit that unlock, it's going to fire right back up. That gives you time to catch up to them, let them know why you shut them down, what was going on, all of that. On these, this is your front brakes. Now your front brakes should only be used for a park brake. As I've got them pulled, you can see right now, they're locked in, they work for a park brake, but they won't do very good to stop me. Now if I push this pin in and release them, that's gonna put my park brake on right here. So if a kid's on here and they happen to hit the throttle while they're starting it, it's not gonna fire up, take off right out from underneath them. Once the park brake's been activated, to take it off, you just squeeze the brake handle and release. Now as you can see, my park brake's off. Now the brakes are drum brakes, so they work just like a bicycle. By turning these tensioners here outwards, counterclockwise, you're going to stiffen the cables and remove some of the slack. That's going to make them react faster. Same thing with these. If you turn these counterclockwise and you force these cables apart, you're going to remove the slack. Now it will make the front brakes react faster, but it will also make them harder to pull. So make sure you don't turn these out so far that the kids can't pull them. But again, the rear brakes should do all of your stopping. Your governor is right here. Now the further you turn these out, the faster these ATVs are going to go. Their absolute max speed is 30 miles an hour. However, their cruise speed is going to be between 15 to 20 miles an hour. Now, a lot of kids, they don't know what a governor or a red line is. All they know is we want to go fast. So they get on stuff, they put it, pedal to the metal, wide open throttle. And that's one thing that you want to be careful of with these, is as the adults, you want to get on them, take them for a test drive, and don't just turn this all the way out or take this screw out, because these engines can be over revved. If you take these out or turn these all the way out, and the kids get on here and floor these, that's like getting in your vehicle, jumping in the HOV lane, putting a brick on your gas pedal and just taking a nap. Sooner or later, something bad's gonna happen. So do not remove the governor screw. As a matter of fact, take them for a ride. And if you get to the point that you're riding this and you get on the throttle and it's vibrating so bad that it's uncomfortable, that means you're in the red line of the RPMs and you want to turn that governor down below that point. So just turn this screw in a little bit and it's going to directly control your throttle movement. That's pretty much all of your functions up here. Now, once you've got the governor set and you're ready to go home and ride, you're going to take the kids out and let them ride 3 times, 20 minutes apiece. This is just going to be 3 basic heat cycles before your first oil change. It's going to be a 20-minute ride, 20-minute cool down. 20-minute ride, 20-minute cool down. The third cycle, it's going to be a 20-minute ride and then a 1-hour cool down. I'm hurrying, I promise. After that 1-hour cool down, right up underneath here, you've got a 17-millimeter drain bolt. You're going to drop this bolt, you're going to let this bolt drain, you're going to put this bolt back. As I say, it's 17 millimeter, it's right here at the base of the engine on the right-hand side. Once you've drained your oil, you're going to pull your dipstick right here, and it's got a standard crosshatch on the bottom of it. Disregard what it tells you right here for oil, because these are sold all over the United States with this same sticker. We're in Arizona, we're a lot hotter climate than most, so when you put oil back in this, you want to use a 10W40 or a 20W50. We always use the 10W40. You can get it at any AutoZone, O'Reilly, Napa, Walmart, Pep Boys, they all carry it. These are automatic ATVs. but they do have a wet clutch on the side here. So you guys will never have to use the clutch, but when you purchase the oil, make sure you do buy a motor oil that says wet clutch approved. After the initial oil change, you're only going to need to do those every 40 hours. Now if we look right up under here on the bottom of our carburetor, clear at the base, there's a brass screw. It's a Phillips, and right on the other side of that is a hose with a spring on it. Now if it's been longer than 60 days since we've ridden this ATV, we're going to go ahead and open this screw by turning it counterclockwise. Once this screw's open, that's going to drain our entire fuel tank. Once that whole tank has drained, go ahead and tighten this screw up, and that's what you would do if you had let the ATV set. Keep in mind where this drain screw's at, because we're going to go over this again in just 1 second. The only other adjustment on your carburetor, it's easiest to see through here, but it's kind of hard to see altogether, is right above your drain screw, there's a flat blade screw. And this one's going to be your idle adjustment. So later on down the road, if the carb and the filter have gotten dirty, you've got to the point the ATV won't run on its own without you blipping the throttle a little bit at a time, you'll reach up underneath here with a flat blade screwdriver and turn this clockwise about 1/8 of a turn at a time until it'll set and run on its own. When it runs on its own, the idle's perfect. If it starts trying to take off on its own, you've turned the idle up a little too high, go ahead and turn that screw counterclockwise just a hair. Coming back over here, back to the fuel. Now, if you're not going to ride it 60 days or longer, or it's already been 60 days or longer, you would just open that screw and let it drain. But if you say you've ridden the ATV today, and it's only going to be, a month until you ride it, you would just reach up under here and turn this shutoff valve. You can look right through here and see the shutoff valve to the off position. Now, as long as this valve is in the off position, when you open that drain screw, it's only going to drain the fuel in the bowl of the carburetor. Now you want to drain this fuel after about 3 weeks, because this is what'll start to go bad the fastest. And when you drain it, whether it's the whole carb or the whole tank or just the carb, sorry, either way it's going to drain out of this hose right here. So if you've done this and it's been less than 2 months and you're ready to ride, all you got to do is turn the fuel back to the on position. The gas that's in the tank will fill up the carburetor. You can start it, take off, and ride. Now, while the fuel is in the off position, if it's been more than 60 days, you go ahead and turn the fuel back to the on position, but instead of trying to start the ATV, just open that drain screw and let it drain that whole tank and start with fresh fuel before you even try to start it. There's only a couple other things you guys are going to need to know, and that's right under here is going to be your choke lever. If it's extremely cold outside, you haven't ridden the ATV in a long time, or the carbon filter have gotten excessively dirty, you may need to flip this choke up to the on position. Let the ATV warm up, or fire up and warm up for 30 to 60 seconds. After that, you can go ahead and flip the choke off. If the ATV has died, that's a good indicator that you no longer need the choke. Flip the choke down, go ahead and fire it up. Back underneath your seat here, you've got a little latch. They're silver, they used to be brass, but to pull this latch back, it'll pop up. This gives you access to your battery. Again, at 21 days, you want to put your battery on the maintainer that comes with the ATV. Black to negative, red to positive, let it set 4 to 24 hours, that will charge your battery. If it's going to set 60 days or longer, go ahead and remove this screw right here and let this terminal set unhooked off the battery. And then when you're ready to ride, just go ahead and hook that back up. You've got a standard 5 amp round automotive fuse right here that controls your entire electrical system. Should you get anything wet or short anything out, the fuse will be the first thing to pop. If you have any electrical issues, always check the fuse first. There are a couple of them that come inside your bag there along with your owner's manual. The very last thing you guys are going to need to know is going to be the chain tension. So if you look over here, my chain is extremely tight right now. Over time, chains are going to stretch. This one will stretch about 3/8 of an inch in its lifetime. If you get to the point that the chain is too loose and you need to add some tension, you would loosen these 2 nuts on top and the same 2 on the bottom right here holding the chain tensioners. Once all 4 of those are loose, your entire bearing carrier is loose. You can remove your rear lock nuts and then begin to tighten the front adjuster nuts. As you tighten these, you go a half a turn at a time clockwise, and only do it in half turn increments. Whatever you do to the left side, do to the right side. So if you turn this one a half turn on the left, turn it a half turn on the right. So the axle draws back nice and straight. And like I say, don't advance one side more than a half a turn over the other. That way you can keep your turn straight. Once you found your desired tension, go ahead and lock in your lower 2 again, lock in your upper 2, and then replace your rear lock nuts, and that's going to keep your whole rear end tight. That's it. We can get everybody loaded up. Cool. This one goes to you, sir. What do you